Checks and balances. Congress can check the executive branch or the president by overriding vetoes that he's made. It takes 2/3 of each chamber of Congress to override a veto. The Senate also has to approve all the president's appointments. So all his appointments to the judicial branch and the bureaucracy, heads of agencies. Senate has to approve them. Senate also has to approve all the treaties that the president may try to involve himself in or make. Congress has to approve war movements, or the movements of the troops. Yeah. And Congress also has to approve of the president's budget that he sends to them as a kind of a suggestion. They choose whether to approve it or change it. They also limit the president's actions. For example, in 1973, they passed the War Powers Act, which made the president have to notify Congress 48 hours after he has deployed troops or moved troops. And he has 60 days to keep them there if they don't approve the war, and 30 days to get them back. So 90 days in total. Congress has the power to impeach the president. The House accuses the president, and the Senate acts as the jury. Congress checks on the judicial branch are they can create and destroy lower courts. They can vote to change the number of Supreme Court justices that sit on the bench at one time. It was originally 4 Supreme Court justices, and now there's 9. They can make amendments to influence the Supreme Court's decisions. So, for example, the Supreme Court decision on Dred Scott basically said that all African Americans and descendants of slaves and slaves were not citizens of the United States, and Congress passed the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, which gave freed slaves and African Americans citizenship, right to vote, abolish slavery. Congress can also impeach justices just as they can impeach the president in the same fashion, where the House accuses, Senate acts as a jury. Congress's checks on the bureaucracy are they conduct hearings / investigations to make sure that the laws that they have put in place are being carried out properly. Based on these hearings / investigations, they decide on the budget for that particular bureaucratic agency. They also create the laws that have to be carried out, obviously. They also approve the appointments to the heads of the agencies. The executive branch checks on the legislative branch, or Congress. The president can veto a bill proposed by Congress. The president appoints the head of all the bureaucratic agencies. He or she proposes the budget to Congress, and they can call special meetings that are mandatory. Executive checks on the judicial branch. The president appoints all justices, and he can grant pardons to get people out of jail that he feels should be freed. Executive checks on the bureaucracy. The president appoints the leaders of the agencies. He issues executive orders that have to be, he can issue executive orders that have to be carried out by the bureaucracy. He also suggests their budgets for the bureaucratic agencies to Congress. And the judicial branch checks on all the other branches, executive and legislative and bureaucracy. They have the power of judicial review, so they can declare any action or law unconstitutional if they, feel that it is. Yeah.